The high-stakes arena of international strategy has witnessed a major power shift with the United States' decision to tighten restrictions on China's semiconductor industry. This move was more than a mere tactical maneuver. It was a bold assertion of technological dominance. The limitations, specifically designed to hinder China's ability to obtain cutting-edge chip technology, were rooted in long-standing security concerns. Officials in Washington argued that advanced semiconductors could enhance China's defense capabilities and cyber infrastructure, making it imperative to limit access. As the competition for global leadership intensified, the impact of these measures extended far beyond initial expectations, reshaping industries, supply chains, and global competition. Semiconductors serve as the backbone of modern technology, powering everything from smartphones to artificial intelligence. By restricting China's access to sophisticated chip designs, the U.S. aimed to slow its technological advancement. Yet, rather than stalling progress, these actions ignited a worldwide contest for supremacy in semiconductor production. China reacted swiftly, implementing aggressive strategies to reduce its reliance on foreign suppliers and strengthen its own capabilities. Back in 2021, China imported semiconductors worth an astounding $432 billion, highlighting a significant dependence on external markets. However, by 2023, that figure had plummeted to around $230 billion, reflecting a drastic $200 billion decline. This wasn't just a drop in trade, it was a strategic shift towards technological self-reliance. Government-backed initiatives pumped massive investments into domestic semiconductor manufacturing, reinforcing the country's commitment to reducing dependency on foreign technology. State-led programs, particularly under long-term industrial roadmaps, allocated extensive funding to semiconductor development. Major firms took advantage of these resources to rapidly expand their production capacity, accelerating efforts to establish technological independence. Reports revealed a substantial rise in China's ability to produce its own chips, signaling a significant transformation in the global tech landscape. This shift raised critical questions about the impact on industries that had long depended on American and European suppliers. Would this evolution redefine international markets, or was it leading toward a fragmented technological ecosystem where nations developed separate supply chains? The resilience of Chinese companies, previously perceived as vulnerable to sanctions, took many by surprise. One of the most striking examples of this resilience came from Huawei. Once thought to be in decline due to restrictions that cut off access to key technologies, the company staged a dramatic comeback in 2023 with the launch of the Mate 60 Pro. This smartphone, powered by an advanced 7nm processor developed domestically, shocked industry analysts who had assumed China's innovation pipeline had been crippled. Huawei not only proved its capability to produce high-end processors, but also built next-generation networking equipment entirely with local components, demonstrating its ability to navigate external pressures. Rather than acting as insurmountable obstacles, trade restrictions inadvertently fueled advancements by compelling Chinese firms to develop alternative solutions. Huawei's 5G base stations, produced without relying on foreign chips, have now become a crucial part of the country's national infrastructure projects. Experts who once dismissed China's semiconductor ambitions as unrealistic are now re-evaluating their stance. The drive for technological self-sufficiency is not just about maintaining production, it represents a declaration of independence and innovation. Chinese consumers are already experiencing the benefits of this transition, with more affordable 5G-enabled devices becoming widely available. Meanwhile, international markets are facing heightened competition. The emergence of homegrown processors is creating ripple effects across multiple industries, from artificial intelligence to aerospace. Fields that were once dominated by Western companies are now seeing new players enter the race at an accelerated pace. A report published in late 2023 underscored how China's growing domestic semiconductor production is fueling rapid progress in areas such as robotics and autonomous transportation. The long-held belief that only Western technology could lead in cutting-edge sectors is being challenged. Semiconductor manufacturing firms in China have made significant progress in producing smaller and more efficient chips, enabling the country to circumvent export restrictions while making advancements in quantum computing research. Meanwhile, the U.S. semiconductor industry is facing significant challenges. Intel's third-quarter financial report for 2023 showed a sharp drop in revenue, with sales to China falling by 27% compared to the previous year. Similarly, Texas Instruments, a key supplier of analog semiconductors, reported a $2.3 billion revenue shortfall due to declining demand from Chinese customers. These financial setbacks are not limited to individual corporations. They extend across the broader technology sector. Many U.S. firms, which once relied on China for up to 30% of their revenue, are now grappling with shrinking demand. This raises concerns about whether the policies designed to curb China's technological progress are backfiring. The country's share of global semiconductor production has surged, rising from approximately 15% in 2020 to nearly 30% by 2023. This expansion has been fueled by substantial government subsidies and collaborations with various partners. A 2023 report highlighted that Chinese firms had built more than 50 new chip fabrication plants in just 2 years, reshaping competition and challenging long-established industry giants. China's rapid growth in semiconductor production is also influencing pricing strategies. The increasing availability of locally made chips is driving down costs, making advanced technology more accessible while forcing competitors to rethink their approach. The unintended consequences of U.S. sanctions have also impacted South Korea's semiconductor industry. Leading firms such as Samsung and SK Hynix, which have historically relied on exports to China, are now encountering significant challenges. As China advances in chip design and fabrication, it is narrowing the technological gap with these industry leaders. Samsung's semiconductor division reported a 12% revenue decline for the third quarter of 2023, while SK Hynix recorded its steepest profit drop since 2017. This dramatic shift in market dynamics has put pressure on these firms to develop new strategies to maintain their competitive edge. The question remains, will South Korea's history of innovation be enough to sustain its position? Or is the global semiconductor industry undergoing a permanent transformation? China's growing influence is not limited to chip manufacturing alone. Domestically produced processors are now powering critical sectors, including data centers, telecommunications, and artificial intelligence platforms. Major corporations are replacing imported components with locally developed alternatives, restructuring supply chains in the process. By 2023, over 60% of China's cloud computing sector was operating on homegrown technology, marking a substantial shift away from dependence on foreign providers. This transition has not only bolstered the country's digital security, but has also reduced costs for local businesses and consumers. Meanwhile, global markets are adapting to potential shortages and price fluctuations caused by the drop in Chinese imports. Some of the most ambitious advancements have come from leading semiconductor firms, such as Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation and Yangtze Memory Technologies. The former's ability to develop cutting-edge 7nm chips has allowed China to push forward despite export restrictions, while the latter's 232-layered NAND flash memory is setting new benchmarks in the consumer electronics sector. These breakthroughs signal that China is not merely catching up, but is actively shaping new industry standards. The rise of these domestic semiconductor companies is posing a serious challenge to traditional market leaders, including Intel and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. Originally intended to curb China's technological growth, U.S.-imposed sanctions have instead driven a wave of innovation. In response, the U.S. has ramped up investments in domestic semiconductor production, strengthened alliances with key partners, and encouraged private sector research to regain a competitive edge. Despite these efforts, it remains uncertain whether these measures will be enough to maintain long-term dominance. The restrictions have compelled China to channel vast resources into research and development, with government spending on semiconductor innovation exceeding $20 billion in 2023 alone. Analysts have observed that these policies have instilled a survival mentality, pushing Chinese companies to innovate at an unprecedented pace. China's role as the world's largest buyer of semiconductors gives it considerable influence over global supply chains. In 2023, Chinese firms accounted for nearly 40% of global chip demand, forcing international suppliers to either comply with U.S. regulations or risk major financial losses. The expansion of domestic semiconductor production is positioning China as a dominant force in the global memory storage market, further intensifying competition. As China's semiconductor industry continues to gain momentum, the effects on international trade and political alliances are becoming increasingly evident. By reducing reliance on foreign suppliers, China has strengthened its bargaining power in global markets. Some analysts view this development as a turning point that will reshape economic strategies and trade relations. While challenges such as technological hurdles, global competition, and evolving regulations still loom, the ongoing semiconductor conflict serves as a reminder that technology, once wielded as a geopolitical tool, can lead to unforeseen consequences.